Hi everyone, today I will just do a sit down vlog to discuss an information about globalization flows. But before anything else, I'll first introduce myself. I am Babasil C. Martirez, 19 years old, a student of University of Eastern Philippines from a College of Engineering, specifically from the Department of Mechanical Engineering. So I will start this discussion with defining what globalization is.
Globalization. Let's think about it. But first, let's talk about chocolate. This is the equator, and this is where I grew up. When I was young, I lived under the rule of protectionist policies like import substitution industrialization, which basically means economies should try to make things at home rather than rely on things made in other countries. So we had no time for bratwurst, burritos, bald eagles, Swiss Army knives, kiwis, kangaroos, or Earl Grey tea. We hated Earl Grey tea. So now you're probably thinking, chocolate, you said talk about chocolate. To which I say, I'm getting there. The area I lived in was, and is, famous for making amazing cocoa. And because we couldn't import anything, we also made chocolate. Terrible, terrible chocolate. Even my dad made chocolate, and I hated it. Your chocolate's terrible, Dad, I would always tell him. Which is a true story. With no imports, there was no competition and therefore no need to improve the product. Day in, day out, much of my pocket money went on a bitter, brittle, and sometimes oddly crunchy chocolate. But then something amazing happened. The borders opened to trade, and in came the Belgians, the Germans, and the Swiss, bringing with them their rich, creamy chocolate. With open borders, our abundance of cocoa was now accessible to the world. The industry boomed, as did many others. Jobs were in abundance, and more importantly, I finally had world-class chocolate. But not all was well. When the Swiss, Belgians, and Germans came and blew this chocolate thing wide open, many local producers went out of business, including my father. Because remember, his chocolate sucked. In fact, his only redeeming quality was that he knew a good cocoa bean when he saw it. Unlike my father, some producers survived, forced to improve their product to be competitive, so it wasn't all bad. Our export industry was leading to new jobs across multiple industries, and the chocolate? The sweet chocolate. So, what's a young boy to do? I knew I still hated Earl Grey tea, but otherwise, I was divided. Whilst we now had access to the wonders of the world, some local producers were losing their livelihood. After much deliberation, I did what all young boys do best: nothing. My father saw the light, closed up shop, and got a job picking cocoa beans, which he was good at. As I already mentioned, the guy knew his beans. I realized that it was all a question of the long run and how it would all work out in the end, which is tough because how long is the long run? So there you go. That's all I have to say on chocolate. I guess now we can finally talk about globalization.
So globalization is the process of interaction among people, companies, and governments worldwide. Globalization has accelerated since 18th century due to advances in transportation and communications technology. So globalization is simply a term used to describe how trade and technology have made the world into a more connected and interdependent place. Now, globalization can be considered as a system of flows. First is the freight or trade, second is the passengers or migration, and third is the information or telecommunications. So let's go back now to the first mentioned system of flows, which is the freight or trade. Freight or trade is mainly asymmetrical flows taking place to satisfy material demands ranging from raw materials to finished goods and all the intermediate goods in between. The asymmetry is reflective of trade imbalances as well as the general linear organization of supply chains from upstream to downstream. Flows are mainly supported by maritime shipping, with port infrastructures acting as the main gateways of this flow system. But airports play an important role in the trade of high-value goods. Trade networks are organized as interconnected hub and spoke structures along the main poles of the global economy. For further information, transport Freight transport is the physical process of transporting commodities and merchandise goods and cargo. The term shipping originally referred to transport by sea, but in American English, it has been extended to refer to transport by land or air, which in an international English it is also termed as carriage. The next one is the passengers or migration. This is mainly symmetrical flows of people taking place for a variety of reasons, most of them related to tourism, with air transportation being the dominant mode supporting such flows. The global air transport system can handle about 4 million passengers per day and is organized as interconnected hub and spoke networks converging around major airports. The international migration of people lies at the core of the ongoing process of globalization. People migrate to improve their economic prospects, ensure a more secure living environment, also to reunite with their family members, or avoid persecution in their country of origin. Others move in response to the adverse effects of climate change, natural disasters, or other environmental factors. The last one is the information or telecommunications. This is the complex and extensive flows of information used for communication. Power exchanges like an online order and symbolic exchanges like education. Information flows can both take a physical, like parcels, and non-physical form, which are dominantly articulated by a network of global cities. While communication flows are mostly symmetrical, power and symbolic exchanges are asymmetrical, from the information provider to the consumer of information. Okay, so globalization in telecommunications is the process of international expansion of businesses and services of a telecommunication company beyond its original base, because it is an important strategic action to remain competitive in the global market. And so for now, that's all for this video. I hope you've learned a lot from this topic. Thank you for listening.